This is just a quick video to update you on the parts I've bought for my Peugeot 106 GTI. I'm also going to update you on my plans and show you how much progress I've made so far and what the problems I'm going to tackle are. So I thought we could start with this head that I have got. I had this head off the owner of my car before I bought it. He kindly let me have it with the car. So he had this head rebuilt and upgraded because he was planning on turbocharging my Peugeot 106 GTI, but he's changed his mind and decided to sell it. So he's passed the head on to me. So some of the upgrades that this head has got over a standard Peugeot 106 head is it has these two breathers. I think they're breathers. So obviously when the car's under boost, there's going to be lots of pressure going on in the engine. So I'm pretty sure they're breathers. Some other upgrades it's got is it has ported exhaust valves here, ported and polished. So when they're ported and polished, it just smooths out the port so that the air can get out of the engine much more smoother and efficiently. And also on the other side here, the inlet is also ported and polished as well. One thing I didn't know for quite a while after having this head is it's not actually a Peugeot 106 GTI head. It's a JP4 head, which I think is off a Peugeot 206, some sort of sporty Peugeot 206. But the main differences are the standard cam profile in this head is not as aggressive as the one on my car at the moment, the standard one. But it does have larger valves. So if I turn it over like this, you should be able to see the freshly rebuilt valves. So the inlet ports, they're actually 1mm bigger than a standard Peugeot 106 head, and this head will bolt on. So as I mentioned, the cams in this engine that comes standard, they're not as aggressive as the 106 heads. But that's okay because the cams that are in the Peugeot 106 at the moment, the standard cams, they will actually fit in this head. So by fitting this head, which is a direct fit, we get the benefit of 1mm larger inlet valves, and we can use the original cams. They are compatible with this head, so that we get the best of both worlds. We get to keep our standard cams, and we get bigger inlet valves. As a bonus, the inlets and the exhaust ports, they've been port matched and polished. So it was quite a nice find to have this head given to me free of charge with my car. So I'm looking forward to installing that. When I do install this, I'm going to add a decompression plate. Now, the previous owner of my car also had for sale these forged conrods here. They are max speeding rods. There's not really much to see. They're forged rods. I've also got ARP 2000 bolts. But yeah, as I said, not much to see really. They're just supposedly a lot stronger than the standard rods. So I bought these for quite a fair price off the previous owner. But I've recently found out that if the compression is calculated correctly on the standard bottom end, and you know the bottom end's in good condition and the map is correct, then it has been known to handle up to 400 horsepower on standard internals. So I don't intend to forge the bottom end anytime soon, but it's nice to have those com rods, you know, for if I was to ever blow the bottom end up, it's nice to know that I've already got the com rods to rebuild stronger. So the turbo I plan to use is a TD04 turbo. This has come off a Subaru Impreza WRX, and on an Impreza they're good to around about 280 horsepower, depending, you know, if you was to cam the engine or free up some breathing, it might get a little bit more, but it's good to about 280. But where this turbo works best is around about the 220 to 250 horsepower range, which is the sort of the power bands that they come in as standard. So that's perfect for my goals. You can't really argue with these TD04s. It's come off a working Subaru. You know, they're great turbos. They're used in Saabs, they're used in Mitsubishi Evos, you know, they're used in loads of cars. Can't go wrong with them. They've got an oil feed, an oil return, a water feed and a water return, which will have to be plumbed up. The manifold I've decided to use is the standard manifold that comes on the Peugeot 106 GTI and the Saxo VTS. I think they come on the C2 VTS as well, these manifolds. So the reason I've used this manifold is because I think it'd be easy to make an adapter plate from this flange to a TD04 flange. Now this turbo here only cost me £50. This manifold cost me £20. The reason I buy this is because at the moment I have a stainless steel 4-to-1 race manifold on the Peugeot. So I've ordered the standard one. But some people may wonder, you know, why haven't you just gone out and bought a turbo manifold already? Or why haven't you just gone out, why have you bought a TD04? Why don't you just go and buy a turbo kit? Well, I had a look on the Peugeot and the Saxo clubs, and if you just type in turbo in the search bar, you get people asking, oh, how much is it going to cost to turbocharge my car? And you get people answering figures like £10,000, £15,000. But I don't think it has to be that way. I don't think it has to cost £10,000, £15,000. Because at the end of the day, if I was planning on spending £15,000 on a turbo car, I'd go out and I'd finance an Evo 10. So it's as much about turbocharging my Peugeot as it is about having a cheap little project. Now obviously cheap and doing a bad job, they're not the same thing. So you can do it, you know, efficiently, recycling parts. You can do it efficiently for much cheaper. I'll just give you an example how this project will take as much money as you can throw at it. Think of this manifold now, that's cost me £20. If we think by the time I've made an adapter, say I'm £50 in maximum, you know, the next cheapest manifold is £189 on eBay, and that is for a cast manifold exactly like that. The only difference is it has a T25 flange here, so I'd still have to adapt it so that it was in the correct location and the correct flange for the turbo I want to use. And there is a nice stainless steel one, there's a tubular manifold that's been handmade, and that's something like £1,200, which there's nothing wrong with that. You know, some people love these cars so much that they want to spend that sort of money. But as I said, if I was planning on spending thousands and thousands of pounds, it wouldn't be on a Peugeot 106. So that's the reason behind me going for a £20 manifold that I'm going to modify and a £50 turbo that I'm going to modify. But that's just my general idea with regards to this project I've got. You know, I want to do a good job, but I don't want to just burn money for the sake of it. So now I was thinking I could mock this up on the head and I could just show you how far I've got and some of the issues and some of the problems I'm going to try and work around. So here we go. So here we go. This is how the exhaust manifold would sit on the head in the car. So this is where I'm hoping to mount the turbo. Now obviously this is just, I don't know, a very rough template, but it's just a piece of card here with 4 holes in. So if you imagine now that this has got 4 holes in, see that circle there? Imagine that was cut out, and then we had an adapter on the other side with a matching exhaust port for a TD04. So we'll put on our make-believe adapter flange, which hasn't been made yet. So that's the adapter. Now we're going to bolt on the TD04. So there it is, there's the turbo kit, the homemade one, out of bits and bobs. So do you see any issues with that at the moment? What's the problem there? Well, the problem is my radiator is here. So that's going to be an issue, isn't it? But apparently we can clock the turbo, which means this housing can be rotated 90 degrees. So that's what I'm going to do so that I don't have any clearance issues with the radiator. I think I will have to move the radiator an inch or two, but that shouldn't be a problem. But if I was to leave it as it is here, I think I would have to probably relocate the radiator from the engine bay. But if I can just rotate it 90 degrees, that would be great. The only other issue as well is the compressor housing bearing assembly thing. The drain is on the top and the oil feed is on the bottom at the moment. But again, that can be rotated 180 degrees, so that shouldn't cause an issue. Do you see any other issues with that turbo there? Well, apparently the turbo has to sit 100% perfectly level. I think when I make this adapter plate, I'm hoping to make it slightly wedge shaped so that I can take out some of that angle there. Obviously as well, one last thing, the exhaust studs, they're in the way of this, but if I was to put a 2 centimeter, a 20mm flange adapter, obviously the studs won't be in the way then. So again, that's something that's on my mind. So hopefully you've had a nice little update of my plans, and if you think I'm doing anything majorly concerning that I'm gonna blow up or something's gonna go terribly wrong, feel free to let me know. Obviously some of the things I've said, it's just me bouncing ideas out around my head. They're not I'm not stating them as fact. I'm just documenting my journey, and subscribe if you're interested in how I progress through this build.